Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here. I am your host for the night, your favorite voice actor and narrator from Ohio. Welcome. How's everyone doing tonight? Hope you got your water and snackies because we have a lot of stories to cover. DMs of Ripper. What was an obvious piece of foreshadowing in your campaign that none of your players caught on to? Part 1. The party met two reoccurring villains named Darwin and Theory. Darwin was a teenage girl with a thick southern accent. Both of them were red herring baddies, which the party successfully figured out around the midway point. Due to a combination of low insight, some bad rolls, and the party accidentally helping her with her goals, Darwin was convinced the party were her friends and they were playing a game with her. She had tried to recruit the party to join her evil organization and been refused, but when they beat her and activated the beacon she was trying to turn on before she got to it, she thought they were challenging her to a race for a fun rivalry. Thinking the party were her buddies, she happily told them about her dream to touch the face of God. The big foreshadowing the party missed, however, was Theory. He had a homebrew class known as Actor, which allowed him to rip a person's soul out of their body to create a mask he could wear. His stat block didn't change, so he was usually bad in other classes, but he could use any spell, skill, or ability of the person whose mask he was wearing. To make it a bit more fair, he didn't kill the people he did this to, just put them into a coma. Breaking the mask would free the soul and allow the person to wake up. For 8 months, we played a game where the leader of the evil organization freely told the party that she wanted to touch the face of God. Her main bodyguard had a skill that was activated by touching someone's face. Somehow, they were surprised when Theory ripped out God's soul to become God during the final fight with the actual big bad of the game. This large set of double doors has script in Draconic written above it. The doors are carved in the face of a roaring dragon. Each of the two brass handles resembles the outstretched claws of the dragon. It appears to be flying out at you while breathing fire, ready to fight. I wonder what's behind this door, proceeds to pick lock. The dragon breathes fire before leaping forward into close combat. Wait, how are we supposed to know that? I made some implications then maybe, just maybe, the princess of a country ruled by a tyrannical king wasn't as bad as her dad. My players didn't catch on and tortured her in one of the most gruesome ways I've ever heard of, then cure wounds her to continue without killing her. She cried until the salt they used in the torture dehydrated her to the point that she had no more tears left to cry. DM here, my poor Tabaxi fighter player has been cursed by a great sort of vengeance since like January, and the group has yet to figure out why she isn't using the scimitar she forged herself anymore, especially considering they know she has the dueling fighting style. Recently they approached an auntie hag, who stated, "I didn't invite the 7 of you here, but you're welcome to play a game while you're present." The group, minus the fighter, was baffled by this statement. There are 5 party members, and the Hexblade Sorlock has a talking whip, but they just do not know who the 7th person is. Instead of trying to figure it out, they decide she's lying to get in their head, and now they're gonna attack her. Next session will be a train wreck. TLDR, 80% of my players are super slow on the uptake, and the fighter is probably cursed forever. Not the DM yet, but I've been hinting at it for when they allow me to DM. Tiana, the half-elf cleric, who is an absolute daddy's girl. So pure of heart and loving. She has devoted her life to an elvish deity. She has dark, dark brown hair and bright blue eyes, fair skin with a freckly face. She knows a surprising amount of metals for an elf, or a half-elf. And her brother, D, a half-elf paladin, who, while he is still lawful good, doesn't give many fucks beyond that. Relaxed and laid back, similar to his mother. His hair is more silvery than dark, but he too has those bright blue eyes. I've drawn their pictures and talked about them a little here and there. My friends have yet to find out that they're the children of my current blacksmith PC and her paladin sweetheart. Edit. Oh yeah, and she was named after the Eladrin deity Tatiana, whom her mother prays to, and he was named after another current PC who became a father figure to my character's sweetheart. I swear they have to have caught things, but so far no one has made a peep about it. The game is entirely homebrew, so I have been slowly introducing things via story with a collection of mentor characters. The primary one is a dragon, and not from this world, so he's commonly using the wrong words for things. He is far more combat capable for someone who just got their magic recently. In spite of most people fearing traveling, he covered most of North America in a month and found out lots of information about the state of the world. Finally, he had taken a shotgun blast to the face and not moved an inch. Someone should have been interrogating him about what he is by now. They stayed the night among a family of friendly cannibals, friendly as in they were not out to murder the party, and a small girl kept making comments about them being too skinny to eat. At least one character decided to go vegetarian that night, but the rest kept saying she was paranoid. Facepalm. I have hinted subtly and not so subtly that the rebel organization they are working with is in a bad way for various reasons. None of them seem to realize their mentor characters are the only thing holding this group together, nor do they seem to realize that the fate of a mentor character is to be removed from the picture once the PCs got their feet under them. Not the DM, but worked with the DM to pull this off. Unfortunately, the campaign ended before we made it to the payoff point. I was playing a life domain cleric named Torxina. Back in 2019, I came up with a plan with the DM to have Torxina leave the party for a while and play a different character in her stead. During her absence, the party would start to hear stories about a masked vigilante known as the White Rose, who traveled all over the land doing good deeds and taking out bad people, and every time she left behind a white rose with a note that said, "May the White Rose forever remind you to help others in need, as you have had done to you this day." The legend of the White Rose grew to the point where people were praying for the White Rose to show up and help them. At the end of a specific arc in the campaign, the party was going to encounter the White Rose just as she finished killing an enemy the party had been sent to kill. At that point, she was going to be standing facing away from the party, then turn her head to look over her shoulder, and I was going to speak in Torxina's voice and say, "It's about time. I've been waiting for you to catch up to me." Up to the point where we ended the campaign, none of the players had the slightest clue that the White Rose was Torxina. Unfortunately, they'll never know that now, unless they read this. I said the name of the big bad evil guy in the very first session of the campaign in the form of a cultist chanting, and none of them picked up on it, and at this point, a year later, none of them remember and still haven't figured out who the real big bad evil guy is. Okay, not a DM, but a player. So there was this suspicious wizard who was at least level 8. Spoiler alert, he turns out to be Asmodeus' right-hand man. Asmodeus then removes our souls from our bodies. The wizard made us look dumb by saying he had a tattoo of Asmodeus' symbol on his neck. I did a starter for some new players, and they were in a fort near Baldur's Gate. They ran into some bandits while looking for info about Candle. After 2 bandits fired their crossbows at the rogue and cleric, who was a tiefling of the life domain, the paladin stopped to ask the bandits to help try talking down a potential lich or necromancer. The bandits agreed. While the lich encounter hasn't happened, the party, as far as I could tell, didn't find that suspicious. Not a DM, but my DM was kind of evil to me. I was new to playing, so she helped me build my character. I told her I like bards, as I was better at gathering info and trying to bring people together. I also wanted to play a different race, as the 1 to 2 times I've played prior, I have been a half-elf and a goblin. While looking through, I ended up finding a race, I don't remember what they were called, but Shadow Elf is closest, I imagine Drow? I mentioned to her, she got really excited, and when I said I wasn't sure, she told me all the benefits to convince me. First session ends off with us finding out the town we're in hates shadow elves and are hanging 3 from the tree. Let's just say my character very quickly glamored at the start of the next session. I had a scenario in which the party would pick between helping a king slay some evil fae creatures, or they would choose to help the fae find a way to avoid war with the king. The players choose to fight the fae. When they arrived in the area, they found out that the king had taken all his subjects and put them in the castle's yard to protect them from the fae. Meanwhile, the fae were trying to clear their names. The wizard assumed the king and his people had been lying about the evil fae, mostly because he asked the fae king, and the king didn't know about the evil fae and had said, There aren't any. But no one bothered to talk to the people in the yard, so no one was informed about the evil Fae being legit and not just the king being a jerk. So he joined up with the Fae and joined a scouting mission. It was a mission to find information, and to get the wizard close to the king. Wizard finds king and sees he's being a right asshole and gets understandably mad. Instead of intimidating the king or continuing his search for anything I actually thought he would do, he instead unloaded 3 days worth of spell scrolls, most of which were magic missile, battering ram, and fireball, onto the king, leaving a crater where the king's throne was, and the king as paint in the rest of the courtroom. With the king dead and no one talking to the still obviously terrified people, the party assumes their work here is done. Sometime later, the party are in the area again and find the castle completely empty. Fae King doesn't know why and doesn't really care, and neither do the players. Even later in the story, the party sends some paladins they rescued to the Fae area for protection. Come time to meet up with the paladins, and instead of meeting with the Fae King, they meet Enigma, a chaotic evil satyr who is the leader of a rebellious group of Fae. He pats the wizard on the back saying, "Thanks for covering our tracks. Honestly, never thought killing the king would have made our pranks so easy." By pranks, he meant kidnapping the residents of the kingdom, feeding the Fae King false information, throwing random people into different planes to see what happened, and, their latest prank, trapping the Fae King and his court in the ethereal plane to watch as Enigma took over as king. My party, especially the wizard, were so confused. I had to explain what happened twice. For a while, I thought I was just being one of those bad DMs, but after explaining the scenario to others, the general consensus was, no, that's kinda interesting. The players just didn't ask questions. Brian Von VA here, checking in after the vid. If you like today's stories, please leave a like, subscribe, and make sure to ring that bell so you can be notified whenever we post or go live. If you have a story you'd like to have read live or in a video, be sure to leave it on our subreddit r/MrRipper. And make sure to follow us on Twitter and Twitch. Links are going to be in the description below. Using a help action, feel free to come say hi to me, Brian Von VA on YouTube, where I stream games and post voice acting videos, along with making a lot of memes too. I always try to end my vids on a positive, and today ain't no different. I wanted to say that none of you are truly alone in the world. Some days people are going to ignore you. Yeah, they might be busy or they're just off doing something else. But you're never alone or unwanted. Your friends love you, your family loves you, and your significant other damn well loves you. And if you don't have any of them, trust me, you're going to find the right folk eventually. They're out there, waiting for you to find them, or you might just stumble your way into a conversation with one of these people one day, and they'll just accept you and love you for who you are. To further this, just say hi in the comments today to someone new, can't hurt, and you can even make a new friend that way too. All the love, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.